You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and the interview subject I have coming up for you is the newly minted singer for Thunderstick in 2019. She goes by the name of Raven. So that's the reason for the conversation. Let's have a listen to what she has to say. Here we go. Hey, how you going?
I'm fine, thank you. You?
Good. Hang on, let me turn myself on so you can see my mug. Have I done that? Is that work? Oh, it hasn't worked. Hang on. There we go. Here we are. Rock and roll.
Hello.
Hey, look, this is... think of this is a conversation, okay? It's not really an interview, okay? I've done about 450 of these at this point, and there is no pressure. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Second thing is have fun, okay? So what I'll do at the end of this, I'll send it to you, and if you're not happy with it, I don't release it. I'll write a story about it instead. Simple as that.
Cool.
Okay, think of it like that. So this is one of those interviews, actually, where I wasn't sure where to start. And not for any negative reasons, by the way. It was just, okay, because I think Something Wicked This Way Comes is probably the best rock record of the last 20 years or so. So I've had a chat to Barry, I've had a chat to Lucy, I've had a chat to Vixen, now I'm having a good chat to you. So I guess my first question for you would be, what attracted you to Barry and what he's doing? So obviously you're a very competent singer, otherwise Barry wouldn't have put you in the frame to front the outfit, but what was the lure for you that drew you into Thunderstick?
The lure was the songs themselves, the power, the emotion, the content, I think, as well. You know, Barry likes to do a lot to do with mental health issues. And I think I've got some stuff going on at the moment, and I think it really kind of drew me in. So lyrically, it was there for me. But the power and the emotion that go into the songs is something that I've never really, up to this point, you know, I've never really had that power and emotion in a song. And that's what drew me. Love it.
Were you aware of him prior to the opportunity coming up, or was it one of those things where when the opportunity came up, you like me, because I wasn't aware of him either up until I'd heard of him in passing but hadn't done any deep diving, for example. But when Something Wicked This Way Comes, the first time I heard Lucy's voice and I heard the songs and Barry's drumming, because I'm a musician, so that's what attracts me is the musicianship. And when I heard it, I thought, man, I think I've got to do a lot of catching up here to find out what else this guy's been a part of and the like. So was it a bit like that for you as well?
It was indeed, yeah. I mean, the first time he sort of messaged me, it was quite funny, because if you've ever seen his icon on Facebook, it's just his mask. And being unknown to me at the time, I sort of said to him, "What sort of music do you do then?" You know, and he kind of came back, Google me. Very embarrassing, but no, it was a big catch-up moment, and sort of going through his history and having got to know him a lot better. You know, I can understand the songs and some of the previous history that he's had there. So it was a big catch-up for me. Big catch-up. But a great one. It's been fantastic.
So I think his first vocalist name was Jody, correct me if I'm wrong, sorry. I'm going from memory here, but Jody, yeah.
Jody Valentine.
Jody Valentine, there you go. So did you manage to dive deep into some of those lyrics and ascertain the meaning of some of those lyrics as well?
I did indeed. There's a few songs there because Jody and Barry were actually married. So there was a few songs there that were very pertinent to them at the time. And unfortunately, Jody has since passed. And I think some of the songs that are sort of now, it comes out in some of the lyrics that I think, you know, where that has hit him in the past. You know, I mean, they stayed good friends. And so, I mean, yeah, I think it was great to hear Jodie's voice actually on some of these songs as well.
Okay, yeah.
Lucy's fantastic. But I think to delve back to the Jodie times gave me just a little bit more insight into some of the songs, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Look, it's and with the greatest of respect to yourself and to Vixen, Lucy is probably one of the best singers I've ever heard, to be honest with you. And having the conversation with her, and also the work that she's doing in the Kentish Spires at the moment, you've obviously
Yes,
you're bringing your own voice to these things. So how do you interpret her voice? Her voice on album. Are you basically reinterpreting it, or are you staying faithful to what she's done, or is it a blend of both?
I think it is a blend of both. There's a lot of it that I am trying to recreate, but then there's also I've got a big natural vibrato to my voice, and I've got a very, very powerful deep voice. So it's bringing that through in some of the songs. So some of the songs have been altered very slightly just to sort of bring that through, I think, and enhance what I can bring to the table.
Absolutely, because this is your opportunity to shine. Have you had an opportunity like this previously, or is this your first go at a world class band, so to speak?
Yeah, no, it's my first go. I mean, I came to singing quite late in the game. Really, it's only been sort of 13 years that I've been doing it. So from starting sort of 13 years ago, just picking up my microphone and going, do you know what, I'm going to go out and do this. It's I've been playing in rock covers bands, for the last sort of 10 years.
Yeah, that's
and
what I do.
function bands.
Yeah, good background, that one. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, I've got a band, that I've played with for the last 10 years. So I think that's really built my confidence. And I've had a lot of musician friends, I think, that have helped along the way, that have said, just do this.
Just do it.
this. And I think, you do reach a point, don't you, where you sort of go, do you know what, if I don't do this now, I'm going to regret it, and I'll never know. So
Yeah, it's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah, it was jumping into the fire a little bit, but Barry's confidence in me, I think, hugely helped. He, right from the start, he was, no, I want your vocals on this, and I think your vocals will fit this band perfectly.
Yeah.
So, and touch wood, so far people seem to be sort of thinking the same. So,
yeah.
So
You've performed live with him already, and you've been able to get that feedback from fans, have you?
yes, we have indeed.
Cool.
Yeah, we had our first gig the other Sunday. Yeah, lovely little local charity festival.
Yep.
Fantastic start. Huge amount of musicians there because there were loads of bands playing over the 2-day festival. It was great. It was really, so I've met friends of Barry's back from the Iron Maiden days.
Yes.
Back from the original Thunderstick days.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite daunting meeting them, but no, all the positive feedback has really, really helped.
Yeah. Well, people should be supportive in these sort of situations here, really, aren't you? Because, you're coming into a situation where, and I understand I've been trawling Facebook, and I've discovered that I think an EP is on the horizon, which is great news because we get to hear your voice alongside of Barry's drumming. And I think that's really what really attracted me to the band in the first place was Barry's drumming. That was actually the first thing I heard, obviously, before any singing started, was this shuffle, this very unique R&B style shuffle that he has. Now, from a musician's perspective, I don't think I've heard anybody else drum like him. I'm sure they are out there, but I'm talking about on album and in the public sphere, if you like, being well known. Now, I think for you, the opportunity to work with him is, he's obviously been doing this a long time. He's got a lot of experience in the music industry, been around the block a couple of times. He knows exactly what he wants, no doubt.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've got this. So you confirm that you got this EP on the horizon. Are you only looking that far ahead, or are there plans further afoot?
We are starting to make plans further afoot. The EP, hoping to have sort of released by the end of this year. And next year we're sort of looking to maybe to do a few Europe, trips over to Europe. We've got a festival in France later this year. So we're hoping that next year that's where we can kind of aim at. And the wheels are in motion for that now.
Yeah. So can you tell me who else is in the band these days?
So we've on bass we've got Rex Thunderbolt.
Yes.
Fantastic bassist.
Yep.
Incredible. We've got Lee Quimby on guitar and Mike Gibbons. So I mean, again, both of them fantastic guitarists. Mike's done a lot of work over the years. To Powell, Carol Decker, Supremes. So I mean, he's again, been around the block a little bit, so
Hmm.
it's nice to bounce off those fellas. Lee has been doing it for years and is, as yet, he's not recorded, which amazes me because he's such a fantastic guitarist.
Mm.
His energy, his pure passion that he puts into it. How he's never recorded. So we're really excited to get Lee down in sort of recordings as well.
Mm.
So yeah, and then obviously Barry, Mr. Thunderstick.
So have you had fans find you, like, since the announcement? Have you had fans reach out to you on Facebook, that sort of thing, and say, "Hey, here you are"?
I have, yeah. It was the first day the photos were released, and we sort of added it on Facebook that I was the new vocalist. I suddenly had this huge influx of Facebook friends requests.
Friend requests,
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
that thing.
oh, who are these people? And it was really lovely that I'd got people from the States that are going to come over and see us later on in the year. You know, we've got people from Belgium. At the festival we've just done, we had, you know, people over from Belgium and Germany. And at the time, to get those requests, it's really daunting. You're suddenly going, whoa, hang on.
Nothing can prepare you for it, can it? Can it?
No.
Yeah.
No. They were really, really welcoming, and really, because I was very worried, obviously taking over from Vix. You know, she was a fantastic part of the band last year. And I did worry how I would be taken, you know, after coming in from Vix and Lucy, as you say, fantastic vocals that she's got on that album there. But everyone seems to be really welcoming, and
That's fantastic.
Really
Yeah. Look, you can only ever do your best too. The thing is, like, you might be stepping into a role that other people have had prior to you, but you can't really copy anybody because there's only one you, as there's only one Lucy, as there's only one Vixen. So there's no point in trying to really copy anybody because you can't really. I mean, it's a rookie error, that one, isn't it? You see a lot of people, without making any assumptions about your age, you see a lot of people in their 20s doing that sort of stuff, and you think, just be you, you know. If you want to let your freak flag fly, now's the opportunity to do it. But overall, just be you, be authentic, bring you to the stage. And fans connect with that. It's like, well, drawing back to Iron Maiden, how different was Bruce to Paul Di'Anno, Bruce Dickinson. I mean, they are literally polar opposites on the sphere. You got Paul's punky. I always considered him more of he would have been better fronting GBH or something, really, in my view, rather than Iron Maiden. You know, he sort of, a lot of old fans, you know, this is sacrilege to them, but I never felt he fitted. So I don't listen to a lot of early Iron Maiden. You know, so the first two albums, I much prefer Bruce. I think he's the guy. And then, of course, Blaze came in. And Blaze, in my view on Blaze, is that the band Iron Maiden needed to go down half a step to meet the timbre of his vocal. And he had a really tough job in the 90s, I've got to say. Poor old Blaze in Iron Maiden, because I rate him as a vocalist. And he's one guy I'd love to interview as well. Because I've spoken to Chris Martin, you know, the guitarist Chris Martin, that I think shares management. Yeah, he's a lovely fella too, Chris. And he did some work with Blaze there on that epic album that he released a couple of years ago. But all of these people that have contributed to the Iron Maiden legacy, you know, including Barry, of course, you know, and just to drill back to the point, you know, like, do you think Bruce was ever given any instruction from the manager there, Rod Smallwood, to emulate Paul in any way? No, of course not. You know, so you just got to stand within your own truth and be authentic, as I say.
I think what's been nice is that actually Barry has allowed me just to take the reins and just go with it.
Yeah. Cool.
He sort of said, you know, I've seen you perform, I've heard you perform. That's what I want. I want you. So yeah, just go with it, which was really nice because again, it gives you the confidence just to go. This is me.
Look, and the other thing you mentioned, which is what I can't believe more young musicians don't do, is go into cover bands and play other people's material for three or four sets a night. Now, you've done it, so you know what I'm talking about. You know, you arrive at 7 o'clock for a 10 o'clock start, and you're playing right up until 2 a.m., and you get out of there at 4:30 a.m. That's the proving ground for most of us, isn't it? Right there, and you've done it. So can you tell me your experience doing that?
I mean, I've done that, as I say, for the last sort of 10 years with the band that I was with, and still with, to be honest. You know, I love these guys. They are my family, and I think that's brought me on leaps and bounds as a performer. It's their aspect on music, and they are very musically talented. The, you know, guitar teachers, done all sorts of stuff themselves. You know, so it was nice to learn from them and hone my performance kind of as I went over the years. I mean, when I started sort of 13 years ago, I was a bag of nerves, and I used to shake for days on end, thinking, "Why am I putting myself through this? You know, why am I doing this?"
I know the feeling. Yeah,
yeah, you do. But there's something in you that's got to do it. It's a passion, isn't it? So it was a case I knew I had to just jump and do it. And over the years, the musicians I think that I've worked with within my band have given me the confidence to go, you're actually, I never particularly liked my own voice. I never got on with it. It was never the voices that I wanted it to kind of be.
that's very common. That is, yeah. It's always it's always very common with talented people. You know that one right there.
Yeah.
It's so true about what you say there. It's the warblers out there I get concerned about. Those out there that try to emulate Beyonce and all those other bloody singers who, you know, again, controversial opinion here. I don't rate Beyonce at all. You know, if you want to go into that sort of music, you're talking about Ronnie Spector, Whitney Houston, the greats. You know, I'm not hearing that with Beyonce. With the greatest of respect, I mean, she's a machine in terms of her business savviness, and her partnership there with Jay-Z has produced probably billions for them, whatever, you know, lots of money. But I don't feel like with Beyonce you're going to get an all-time, her music isn't going to echo for all time like a Ronnie Spector or a Whitney Houston, in my view. In my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, I'm entitled to it because I'm a musician. But you know, it's the same thing. And I haven't heard her talk up her own vocal ability or anything like that, but a lot of people around her do, of course. You hear it in the media that she's the GOAT, you know, meaning greatest of all time and stuff, and you want some humility, don't you? You do want some humility. So I think your attitude's fantastic from the perspective that yeah, I mean, it is tough to listen to your own voice when you're a vocalist. I also sing, and when I listen back, oh my God, yeah, I'm like, oh shit, oops.
Yeah. Oh no,
yeah, you do it.
Funny you mentioned Whitney Houston, because that was one of the first singers when I went out singing. I used to do a little 20-minute slot for a bloke. We were just doing pubs sort of around London, and that's kind of how I eased myself into it. I did a 20-minute slot of Whitney Houston.
Oh wow, you can sing then, yeah.
And I kind of felt that back then I felt a little mocked by musicians. I think they kind of like, but in actual fact, I kind of learned since that a lot of the guitarists that actually kind of knew me kind of went, well, no, as you've just said then, God, if you can do Whitney Houston.
Yeah, you know, exactly. I mean, that's about as best as it. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty much the top of the tree.
So yeah, we used to do Whitney. And I mean, one of my favourite singers of all time, and you may laugh at this, but this is my mother, is Barbara Streisand.
Oh, no, I don't laugh at it at all. I think it's wonderful that you've got that influence. It's great. Bette Midler, Barbara Streisand, these guys are real singers.
Yeah, these were the songs that I listened to, you know, growing up. So they were the songs that I sang as I was, you know, that little teenager with my hairbrush in the living room, dancing around the living room, you know.
What about Mariah Carey and Celine Dion? Did they have an impact on you at all?
Celine Dion, yes. I love the power of Celine Dion's voice.
Yeah,
I
very
like
powerful.
the range that she's got. I know there are those that don't like her. My ex-husband used to hate her, you know, and it was a case of I love the power that she'd got and the range that she'd got and the emotion that she'd put into a song. That was what drew me in with Celine. Mariah, not so much. I don't know why.
Okay, here's a challenge for you. After we finish this interview, listen to a live performance. It's got to be a live performance of We Belong Together, the cut that she released in 2005. And you may change your mind. I'm not saying you will, but give that one a shot and see how you go, because that song there, apart from being a wonderful melody, I think that contains probably, it's not the greatest extent of a voice, but there are no vocal acrobatics in that song. It is a very emotional cut. And I think her delivery on that one is all time as far as I'm concerned. Might surprise people listening to this who know me as a complete metalhead and rock guy and stuff, but I listen to every genre out there.
Yeah, yeah, a bit like me. I've got a big eclectic mix. Yeah, I mean, I down to the country. I love country
That's
stuff
funny.
as well.
That's the one genre, to be frank with you, that and hip hop I really can't do. Hip hop even more
Mine,
so, but yeah.
mine's jazz. I think. I can't quite gel with jazz.
Oh, well, no Joni
Uh,
Mitchell for you then.
no, sorry. I don't, see Joni Mitchell though. I do. Admittedly.
I'm not
Yeah.
Joni, sorry. Who was the Jaco Pastorius? Who was the one that Jaco Pastorius played bass for? God, I could mention it any other time. Not Joni. God, what was I talking about? The Canadian singer. I can't remember her name, but she was extremely gifted. I'll remember it after we finished. Anyway, for the listeners out there, whoever Jaco Pastorius used to play bass for, that singer there, yeah, and she was a very good jazz singer. But I kind of agree with you about, I love jazz from a musical perspective, not so much from a vocal perspective. Okay, so I love John Coltrane, Miles Davis, and the like, but without a lot of the singing. Okay, and they
Yeah.
don't have singing, so it's simple for those two artists there. But yeah, no, that Mariah thing. I give you. It's not a challenge, that's for sure. It is just one of those things where I'd say that if you're yet to get into Mariah as a musician or as a vocalist, that's a really good place to start.
Cool. I will listen to that afterwards. I will.
Another one
Definitely.
is Gloria Estefan. Did you get into her at all?
I used to love her as a kid. Yes. Who didn't want to be Gloria Estefan? She was beautiful. She was a stage presence. Yeah. No, I loved Gloria Estefan. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, her album from 1995, the one where she did a lot of the covers. I can't remember the name of it, but it had "Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me" on it. It also, this is after Miami Sound Machine. I can't remember the name of it though, but that album, I remember getting that when I was at school. That was my last year of school, 1995, and I remember buying that, and it used to put me to sleep. That was the album I used to listen to go to sleep with, and God, it was fantastic. Still is, no doubt. I haven't listened to it in years though.
That would be one I'll probably drag out actually after this as well. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So let's talk about the rock covers thing again, because I think that's really important for people who are looking to become musicians to understand something about, because a lot of musicians tend to look down on covers players. I don't know why. I mean, for God's sake, you're a working musician. It's about the most accessible methodology of being a working musician. But, you know, how did you get into it? How did you get drafted into it? I know you said you got the 20 minute go there, but there's always that spark or that impetus. And I know for me, it's because a lot of my mates were doing it, so I got drafted in with it at the same time, or because I was inspired by them. I saw how many people they were playing to. That was the thing. They were playing to like 80 to 100 people in an Irish pub here in Brisbane, and I was like, I want to do that. So, did you have a similar?
Um, not really. I mean, I was drafted in. I was out doing solo stuff, and I'd been doing it for about a year. And there was a guitarist from Deal that kind of had come to one of my gigs with his wife, and they happened to be looking for a backing singer for a function band. So, and they were quite well-known function bands sort of around our Kent area here, did a lot of weddings. So for me, that was my first steps into it, because they asked me to come and audition for them. They were looking to put this female backing vocal. They'd been going for about 12 years at the time, I think, and had never had female vocals on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and auditioned, and God, I remember being like that. And they'd asked me to do backing vocals for Moondance, I think it was.
Oh yeah,
And
God, I play that every time I play. Yeah, Van Morrison.
and I do the lead vocals on Aretha Franklin, Respect.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, this is, can I? But I went and did it, and yeah, got the job with them. So I went out for about 2 years with them, playing a lot of the wedding venues around sort of the Kent area and into London. So again, we were out every weekend sort of doing that. And there was the front man, Alan, fantastic. You know, he was a proper front man. So kind of I took bits from him.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years in, I was asked to join this rock band. Then they just split, the guitarist and the wife, that was the singer, had just split, but they were looking to continue. So they said, would you come and do it? And I thought, well, I've never really done rock as such, but I've got that kind of voice. So, and it was the kind of material that I loved. So I just said, yeah, that'd be great. I'll come and audition. And there was a few of us. But again, a bit like Thunderstick, really. You know, it was a case of, yeah, we want your vocals on this. So, you know, and 10 years later, I'm still with them, and we're still playing the type of songs that we're not, as much as we do some of the covers that everyone will get up and dance and sing to, we like to add in the stuff that people might not kind of know. We'll do the Evanescence, you know.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's so true. I know you talk about the Evanescences, and it's like, do we need to play Bring Me Back Alive, whatever that song is called? Sorry, I can't remember the name. I was shocking tonight. Sorry, I'm usually pretty good. I remember things, but yeah. Yeah. Or do you play one of their deeper cuts? You know, still Evanescence, but a deeper cut. It's like, I was in a band where instead of playing some of Bowie's more well-known material, we were playing stuff that wasn't so well-known. And I thought, and to be honest, it didn't work. It didn't work. You know, you got to play Enter Sandman by Metallica. You got to play Moondance by Van Morrison. You've got to play or Van Morrison, Bloody Brown Eyed Girl. You have to do these cuts, don't you? Otherwise, people start wandering back to the bar and not dancing.
We do. We do still slip the odd ones in. You know, Marillion, but we do Sugar Mice.
Marillion. Wow. There you go. Yeah.
And a lot of people stand there, and as Sugar Mice starts, they'll go, "What's this?" You know, but as the song gets in, and they'll go, oh, okay, and then that guitar part kicks in, and you know, I kind of tend to tell people it's my indulgence for the night, because you know it used to be my drive home song.
Yep.
From a gig.
That's so true. Yeah. You need to have. I often say 9 for the audience, 1 for the band. So if you're doing, it's literally like that, isn't it? And you just got to pick the song you do that isn't going to piss off the volume of people that are dancing or what have you, but you've got to do it, otherwise you get bored senseless some nights, and people in the crowd don't understand that.
Yeah, I think what's nice is because the people that tend to come and watch us and beautifully follow us, that's what's great. They kind of know it's my song, it's my passion, it's one I kind of let out on, if you know what I mean, and so I think, and the band have picked up on that, you know, it brings them to life. And I think that's it. If you can deliver something with that type of passion, you tend to lose people too much, because they can see that coming through in you. And that's what a lot of people I think are drawn to. I think that's what I've learned over the years.
That is so true, what you just said there. It's so important that you mention that, because I make a point of going out and watching bands a few times I can get. I've got 2 kids these days, so it's very hard to get out. And the irony is, this is the irony, I share this with you. At a point in my life where I get into most every show that I want for nothing, okay, I can't go to them because I've got all these familial commitments. Whereas when I was a kid, I spent a fortune going to shows, Faith No More, U2, whatever it might have been, when they were coming down to Australia, and I can't watch any of these bands these days. I'm just too caught up. Although I did watch U2. I am gonna watch U2 when they tour, because they're doing that Joshua Tree album, and I hate their new material, to be honest with you. But I love their '80s stuff, so I think so many of us do. You know, but I make a point when a band does that. I quite like the way bands are doing that. Do you have an opinion on that? The way bands are touring off the back of an important album in their career?
No, I mean it's. I think a lot of us tend to do it, don't we? It's. You know, and I suppose it's what a lot of people do want to listen to, though, isn't it? It's the older stuff that people are kind of drawn to. So you've still got to kind of do that, and trouble is, as a musician, you just don't ever want to stop.
I think some need to, though. Like, you know, U2 and Metallica are the 2 bands out there, and even though they're making truckloads of money and they're not even bands anymore, they're corporations, right? But they're perilously close to affecting their legacy, in my view, both bands. And a lot with Metallica, that comes down to Lars Ulrich's drumming, which just isn't up to the standard that they need as a band, as far as I'm concerned. You know, me as a musician, I'm talking. I'm sometimes I even play along to his stuff, and it's like, you've missed that, dude. You're pulling on the beat, you know, like the live stuff, and you too. I just think, my God, that thing when they released all of their music, or that new album from 2013 or 14, one of those 2 years, into everybody's Apple devices, media plays. Do you remember that when they did that?
Yeah.
God, what a faux pas that was. Like, it's like we were forced to listen to them then effectively. You know, they came on random playlists, is my point. You had no control in here, bloody Bono's 58-year-old warble or whatever it is, you know. And it was like, no, not today, Bono. If I'm going to listen to you, man, it's The Unforgettable Fire or Boy or something. Nothing you've done since 1991, actually. I'm sorry.
Nothing's great. No, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think some musicians, like bands, and I see it here around town, actually, I've got to say, they become like lost little boys clubs sometimes. Like, you know, wanting to go out and drink and meet people and play music. And it's like, guys, we're in our 40s now. It's probably time to have other interests rather than just focus all of your energy on this. As great as it is, it's just one. It's just one little. You know, if you're looking at everything in a 360 degree view, it's just a little piece of the pie chart, so to speak. Doing this, and I think that's what to me makes it so exciting is playing again, because I do it. I used to do it every weekend, but I do it about once every 3 or 4 weeks now, and I actually look forward to them. I actually genuinely look forward. I love who I'm playing with at the moment with Velvet Kiss, and I love the guys in the band. So it actually allows me to look forward to it, and I think we're all on the same page. We've all got kids and jobs, and I'm back at uni, so I don't have a proper job these days. I'm back at uni, so I'm studying full time, which is kind of like having a proper job. But I prefer to have a well-rounded experience. It's a bit different to the situation you're in, where you now have to devote a lot of energy to something which could potentially take off again for you, isn't it? Really, I mean, this is the opportunity.
It's been it is. Other than the last couple of weeks, the first sort of 7 weeks of it were just a complete whirlwind. Because yes, I do have a full-time job, you know, so I'm working Monday to Friday. I've got 2 teenage boys.
Well, there you go. Yep.
You know, I was gigging. I was still out with my other band doing 2 gigs a weekend, and then rehearsing sort of 5 hours a weekend. So it was very full on and hit the ground kind of running to start with. And I mean, we're still rehearsing every weekend. I think I'm getting a little bit more into the groove of it, of how my life seems to be. Totally. But yeah, to obviously learn that set list in that 7 weeks, it was a constant. Just to try and get it in there, and it was tiring.
How do you learn? How do you learn songs? Like, you've had to learn quite a lot of material here to perform a set. So how have you learnt it? Because I've had people in bands where they simply have not been able to learn material. It's just not something that they can do. It's like a skill, isn't it? Learning somebody's material. So how have you gone about it?
Literally just coming home every night and just playing it and playing it and playing it. I think what was quite nice that Thunderstick kind of broke it down. So he gave me sort of 3 songs the first week, then another 3, you know, and a week later, and then another 3 a week later, and then another 3 a week later.
I knew what he was doing.
It was focus on those 3 for this week. So I was literally coming home from work, and I thought, right, we'll do it 1 song at a time. So I'd play 1 song for 2 nights on a row, and I'd literally just keep going through it and through it, lyrically, writing the lyrics down, so that you just try to put them sort of into your psyche. Because that's, I think, when you can really perform a song, once you've got them embedded, then you can play with it, and you can add your niche to it if you want.
It's a bit like approaching an exam, isn't it? Like, you're studying, really, is what you're doing. It's the same methodology. Yeah.
To the point at times where it was like, please don't make me listen to this anymore. You know?
That's a good sign, though. That's a great sign, because it means that you're embedding it. I know what you're saying. Like, there is I'm a bassist, right? So learning Chili Peppers songs, Flea, who's like one of the all-time great rock and funk bass players. I have to
Yeah.
listen to his stuff possibly a couple of hundred times before I've embedded it. It goes down to that level, you know. Of course, he can play it and play a few slip notes here and there, and just not really do it right. But it doesn't sit well with me. I try to learn it, and I'm not at his skill level, so I've got to where he does things that I can't do. I've got to do something else effectively. But at least 80% of it, 70 to 80% of it is the same. But you're playing covers, and you know you might be playing in front of 10 people, but it really comes down to the respect for the craft, doesn't it? In my view.
Definitely, definitely, yeah, yeah. Whether it's 10 people, whether it's 200 people, it, yeah, you want to do it right because you want to do it right for you, and you want to do it right for your band members as well, and you want to do it right for the musicians that have created that music. You know, I've got a lot of respect for the people that I do cover, and I want to do justice to them. You know, and as I say, some of these songs people have never heard before, so I want to get their music out there just as much as they did in the beginning. You know, and I want to do it justice. So, and I think if you are a good musician, that is what you want to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyone worth their salt, I think, takes it down to that level, and you know, you make sure you do a good job on it.
So let me ask you this then: as a working covers musician, are there any songs you just won't do because you just hate them? You just will not do it because it's not. It makes me want to verbally gag. I can't do it.
I'm not too bad like that because I think if I can really see that somebody wants that song, and we've got so many people that come with a passion and these songs that they want to hear, I don't mind doing it. I mean, Angels,
Oh,
Robbie
God.
Williams,
Yep.
you know,
Yep. No, I'm with you on that one. Yep.
yeah. For my bass player, it's Summer of '69. You know,
Oh God, you've got to play that every time though.
he's been in covers bands for, bless his heart, the best part of 30, 40 years. And he said, I've played that song to death, and it's this. So
Yep.
we have rested it, shall we say? But it's like the other week, you know, we had there's a gentleman that likes to come and watch us, likes to come and follow us, and it is a song that he likes. So it's a case of
It's brought out.
sorry,
Yep.
we're doing it tonight. It's coming out, you know. He just shakes his head, and it's like,
Yep.
but you know, that's kind of what you're there to do.
Yeah.
So
We've got a few songs in Australia, like you know how you guys call in Australia they're called bogans, but you guys call them chavs, I think, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? Like rough sort of people who, you know, it doesn't matter what class or background they're from, they're a bit rough around the edges and they come across a bit rude a lot of the time, let's be frank. So
yeah,
in Australia the bogans tend to be drawn to, I've got to say it, AC/DC. And
right.
even though they're an Australian classic band, they're not a band that I enjoy playing. I've got to say, because I see what these dickheads get up to out there on the dance floor. They drive a lot of the ladies away. So I try not to play as many AC. I try. We've got to play "Long Way to the Top." Got no choice in that. We just got to do it. It's like Australia's faux national anthem. We've just got to do it. And what's the other one? I'm trying to think. What's the other one? Is off Back in Black. Shook Me All Night Long. Those two songs.
Yeah.
We've just got to do them. I don't enjoy it, though, I've got to tell you. I just sort of put my head down and just sort of get through it. They're not entirely interesting on the bass either. So, except for the backing vocal, you know, there's some good backing vocal in both of them. Highway to Hell, Long Way to the Top. There's three, sorry. Long Way to the Top, Highway to Hell, and Shook Me All Night Long. We generally have to play those three songs every time we play. And it's more the reaction that people do. I see them like throwing beer at each other and stuff, and I was thinking, don't need to do that. Just be like a normal person and enjoy the song and drink and put your drink down. Yeah, you know, that, and I'm really, and nothing against the guys at all. I know these guys cop a pillaring, but Nickelback, I can't stand Nickelback. It must be said as well.
My other guitarist would agree with you on that, because we do a Nickelback.
Yeah.
And we get to it every time and he goes, really?
Oh,
Do we have to?
Oh, How
Yes.
You Remind Me, and there's another song that they did. Yeah, oh, God, it's awful. Oh, save us, spare us, please. Don't ever ask for that song again. But fans love it. And the other thing is, is that it's 18-year-old girls that are asking for it. And you're like, how do you know this song? It came out like 20 years ago or something.
Yeah. I mean, what was quite funny that we were I was showing my 14-year-old son. There's a video on YouTube of us last weekend, Thunderstick doing Earth Mother, and I'm showing my 14-year-old son, and all of a sudden he starts mouthing the chorus, and I'm like, "Do you know this song? What?" And it was a case of that. He said, "I've heard you sing it so many times, Mum. Of
Oh, there you
course I
go.
know."
Yeah.
You know, but you sort of think that's how it works its way down the generations and down. So for them, I mean, I've got a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old, and they'll know all the old Linkin Park songs, the Foo Fighters, but it's mainly because they've heard me playing them around the house, and even up to the sort of older stuff that I do with the band, from the 70s, 80s, and they'll be singing along, and you kind of, that's how music spans the generations.
It does, yeah. Well, it's great that they've got a musical mother and someone who's clearly got great taste to be given who you're inspired by and the like, so they can get into music that is really important music. Because I think music is, outside of eating, it's the most important thing we have. Music and art, I should say. So art and the wonderful works of art, Picasso, whoever else they might be, they're all great. And composers, classical composers, jazz composers who I've mentioned before, the great John Coltrane's of the world, and then also the modern pop and rock vocalists as well. I mean, this is being humans. We have sentient consciousness. That's what separates us from animals, and that's what actually makes us different is the way in which we express ourselves through art. And having a mum like yourself who can guide them, if you like, on the way. And I do the same thing with my kids, actually. Just on Friday night, I don't know whether you know the band, but I interview a lot of death and black metal artists, and one of them was, he's from Birmingham, the UK, Carl Willits from Bolt Thrower and Memoriam. Awesome human being, just a lovely, lovely guy. And I've spoken to him at a few occasions beforehand, so that was my third conversation with him. But my daughter wanted to chat to him, so I put him, put him up to. They're in bed at the moment, but because it's 20 to 9 here at the moment. But he was so lovely to her, and it turns out he's got a 5-year-old as well. And I mean, the thing is that they're getting exposure through me to they might not even like the music, but they can appreciate the artistry, and that's really important. That it's coming from the heart, it's coming from a genuine place within somebody's spirit. This is not manufactured music here. But the people that I talk to, none of them produce manufactured music. It's all real. And that's so important. Yeah. If all that they're inspired by long term is that they listen to me talking to so many wonderful artists that are living their truth, speaking their truth, and doing what they're put on God's green earth to do, then I think I've done my job. And I think you're doing the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had a little 8-year-old at our gig, last month, and he was there the whole entire gig. And I mean, I remember my two when they were that age. They used to sit with their fingers in their ears, say, "Oh, it's Mum again," Yes. But this young lad, bless him, he was sat at the side of the stage, and he was watching the whole time intently, and it was brilliant to see. So we tend to sometimes finish with the old classic "Sweet Child of Mine."
You got to do it. Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So I sat him on the stage with me. We just sat on the front of the stage, and his dad afterwards was just, "I'm so grateful that you and the guys in the band were all just so lovely with him."
Yes.
And even at our Thunderstick, there was a young lad, and Mike Gibbons, as I say, the guitarist in Thunderstick, his dad brought him sort of backstage afterwards, and Mike sat with him with his guitar, and he just went, "Here," plunked his guitar in his lap, and this young lad's face just lit up.
Oh, that's awesome. That's all time right there.
Yeah. He's got a great photo of him, the both of them sat with a guitar in their hands, grinning and sort of doing this at the camera.
Yeah.
And you sort of think, that's what it's all about, in inspiring them as well. I'd say even if the music's not maybe particularly for them, to have that passion, I think is really, really important.
It
Um,
is, yeah. I mean, those are the things I remember as a kid going to a Beastie Boys show and being on my mate's shoulders and their DJ. I think it was, I could be wrong here. I thought it was Terminator X from Public Enemy that was on tour with them at the time. And he came over to me because I was right up the front and he high fived me. And I still remember, like, I felt electric for a week afterwards.
yeah,
Yeah. And I'm a fan for life now because of it. And
yeah,
both outfits, Public Enemy and Beastie Boys. And I think, just to do that, artists need to be aware, especially the ones that get a bit jaded, I think, the more, the further on up they go. That when you do that sort of stuff for people, it has the meaningful impact that it provides for them can't ever be measured, okay? It might even be the catalyst for people to become musicians if they've got it in them. They might not know that they've got it in them to play an instrument up until that point. And then after that, they're inspired. I want to do that. They pick up a guitar, a bass, or drums, or even a turntable, or keyboard, or whatever it might be, and they go, "Hang on a sec, I've got a talent for this," and a brand new artist has been created right there.
yeah. It's so important. So important. Definitely.
All right, this has been an awesome chat. You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that interview subject was Raven. She's the new singer in Thunderstick. Thanks so much for listening.